Newsela does have free content available to anyone. However, in Linwood Unified, we have purchased what's called the Pro license, which means it opens up more content for our teachers, including primary sources such as speeches, historical documents, and biographies, as well as career information for you to access and share with your students. So when you log into Newsela, you want to make sure you are logging in with Google using your MyLUSD email and password. So if you just click on sign in with Google, it'll probably just ask you to authenticate that it's you, and then it'll log you in. And this is what the homepage looks like. Every day, Newsela will change this main article that is shown here, and this is their featured article. It'll tell you the category, and it'll give you the title. There are a few ways that you can search for articles in Newsela. As you can see, you have a few tabs here at the top for different topics. They've recently added this election tab that will take you to the instructional content that deals with this year's presidential election. So you'll see all the latest news that they have available. You can also select news, check out the library, see articles that are specifically focused on language arts, science, or social studies. So that is one way to search, to narrow it down based on your needs. But if you have something very specific, you can always click on this search bar. Newsela will give you suggested searches based on what users have been searching, or you can type out a few keywords. So if I want to search women's suffrage, I would just type that out and then click search. So as you can see, all the articles that have to do with women's suffrage will appear, and you can scroll through to see. They've added these icons. These are new, so if you hover over them, it will tell you what subjects it relates to. If you see the little lightning, it tells you it has something called power words, which means Newsela has identified some key vocabulary in that article, and will provide information for your students when they read it. And there are a few articles in Spanish. However, for women's suffrage, I cannot see them at the moment. But those will have a little icon. It'll be a circle with the letters ES inside, meaning it's available in Espanol. You can further filter your search by clicking suggested for, and you can determine your grade level. You can also search by the text level if you want to make sure your students are reading at their grade level. And there are also more features here. So you can also go by the standards, Common Core State Standards for language arts. And here you can be as specific as you want to find an essay, a primary source, etc. Here at the bottom, you can see the different providers. So these are the different sources Newsela uses for their articles. So you can see it's quite comprehensive. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click cancel. So let's say we found an article. So you want to click on it, and it will then load. So what's great about Newsela is the Newsela writers take an article or a text, and then they take the time to rewrite it at different Lexile levels. So each article that is available, or each text that's available, will come in 5 different Lexile levels. So as you can see here with the drop-down menu. Okay. If I scroll down, I see the title. If I scroll down further, I have the article information, when it was originally published, the original author, as well as if this was adapted by Newsela staff or not, word count, etc. So I believe the max level is the one that is the original document. As you can see, as I switched over to the max level, it no longer says adapted by Newsela. Right below the article title, you'll see that you have some special tools that are not available to your students. One of them is the present tool, which would be very handy when you are in class. If you click on it, it then presents it in a projection mode to your students so that it hides this information here. It won't show the text level or recommended for. So that way you can model for your students how you want them to go through the article. If you click this little bookmark icon, you can save it to your account, and we'll show how to access that. You can also share it if you think this is an article your colleagues would find useful, or someone else. You can click on that and then grab the link and share it. If there's an article you think your students should not be seeing, if you think the content is too sensitive, you would click hide, and that would prevent your students from seeing the article. And each article also comes with activities. You can click on it to see the activities. So this particular one has a write prompt. So every article does have a write prompt. And with the access that you have with the Pro license, if you click edit, you can edit this write prompt to whatever it is you want. Something that you can add is possibly sentence frames or sentence starters for your students. I know a lot of you use the Common Core bookmarks that have those sentence frames that are used in testing, so you can use it to adapt it for that. You can use it to adapt for ELs, whatever suits your needs. You can just click, delete, and type whatever it is you want. Then you would click save, and the prompt would be updated for your students. And here's a little note from Newsela. Students won't be able to respond to your prompt unless you assign it, which I'll go over shortly. This one also has a quiz, and again, all articles do come with a 4-question quiz. So you can preview the questions that will be asked, as well as the answers, and just navigate through the other questions. This particular article doesn't have power words, but there are a few other articles that do have those. And you would see that listed here in the activities. So you would see write, quiz, and power words if it had power words. So if this is an assignment you want to assign to your students, you would come here to the upper right where it says assign and click assign. So here you can edit the title if you'd like, but we suggest just leave the title as it is, the title of the article. You would then select a class from the dropdown, and we have not created a class yet, so we would have to do that step before we select a class. If you've already synced your Google Classroom here, you would just click the dropdown and select your classes. Here you see text level. All of the assignments default to adjust level, meaning that Newsela will present the article to students based on their level that Newsela's AI has determined. And no, you cannot edit the quiz questions. You can only edit the write prompt. So if I want to leave this as is so that students can see the article at their level, that is fine. However, if I want to lock the level to a specific level, I would click on adjust level. I would see the levels that are available. I would select it, then click lock selection. So what this means is that all students would then receive this article at that grade level, and they will not be able to adjust it until after they submit the 4-question quiz. So here you can add some instructions. Instructions are optional, but we do suggest that if it's your first time using Newsela with your students, keep your instructions simple. So here they have the example, highlight any words you do not understand in red. I know Central Idea is one of those big reading standards, so I would say highlight the central idea in each section in yellow. Because with Newsela, there are 4 different colors that students can use with annotation. So again, you want to keep the instructions simple if students haven't really used it and gotten used to this. But as you progress with using Newsela, you can add more instructions as necessary. I know with my students, I would have highlight the central idea in yellow, highlight key details in green, highlight interesting details in purple. And I did use the highlight words that you do not know in red. That way that would tell me as a teacher which words I need to go over with my students. So once you are ready, you would click assign. However, it's not letting me assign because I haven't created a class. Let's create a demo class like that. We can do this. So if you need to import a class from Google, you would click here, import class with Google, and this is what we recommend. That way it's always synced with your Google Classroom and you can resync as necessary. Here I would click sync with Google, and then I would select the classroom here. So once I select my classroom, it's going to ask me to select a grade and to select a subject. Once I'm ready, I click Sync Selected Classes. And it's letting me know it may take a few moments. And there it is. I believe that you can select all of your classes, for those of you who have more than one Google class, at the same time and select the grade level and subject as well. And then once they sync, they will pop up here. Let me go back here. Okay, I'm going to save it as a draft for now. Let it pick up my students. Okay. So now it has taken me to what's called the binder. So any assignments I share with my students will be in this area. I can then sort it by viewing all of the assignments, the ones that are currently live and the ones that are in draft mode. Now, if I want to then push this assignment into Google Classroom, like I know most of you are using, I would click this little share arrow here. Okay. I then get asked by Newsela if I want to be able to share this assignment template with teachers. So all this does is other teachers will be able to see the instructions you provided with students, and then they can then use those same instructions and modify them. So it's up to you whether or not you want to turn this on. So now that I've selected my classroom, I can click Assign. And now my Share is working as it's supposed to be. So I can share a link with students via Google Classroom. So I would click that. It would open up a new tab with Google Classroom, where I can then select my Google Classroom. So I selected my digital learning. Then I want to create this as an assignment. Then I click Go here at the bottom. So then this is the familiar screen we see with Google Classroom. It's asking me to put in a title. And here I'm just going to say, follow the instructions in Newsela. So here I can determine the points. Maybe I'll make it a 10-point assignment. It's really up to you. Assign a due date. Maybe I'll give them a week to do it. Again, it's up to you how long you give them. And then you can give it a topic here, or you can create a topic. So maybe this one, I'll just call it Newsela. And click Assign. From there, it's letting me know that I've posted it to my classroom. If I click View, it'll show me what it looks like. So as you can see here, it is now the first announcement students will see on the stream. So if I click on it, I'll see what it looks like live. Kathleen, is there anything else I need to include for assigning an article?
No, I think you covered everything. I don't think there's much else to cover. Does anyone have any questions about you? Because some of you have asked some questions in the chat and I answered that. Someone asked if they could just link an article into a Google form. Yes, you can.
Yes.
And then create your own quiz based on that. That is absolutely fine. How about grading?
Let me show real quickly how to pull that link. The only thing is, since it's going to be pushed to Google Forms, I don't think you could lock the level at that point. You can only lock the level when you create an assignment in the manner that I showed. But let's say you want to give this one to your students to a Google form. So I clicked on the article. If I come here to the top, I would just copy this URL and insert that in your Google form. But if students click on it, they will be able to toggle between Lexile Levels. So it will not be locked into the one you want them to have it locked in.
Leslie, you want to see that from the student view?
Do you want to show that?
Okay.
Oh, you got it.
I have the student view in Google Classroom.
No, I'm talking about, there was somebody asking about grading. And because I have multiple classes, when you open the binder, it's going to say 80 of 150 completed until you actually click on the class. So that can get confusing. So someone's asking about what does it look like to grade?
I don't think I can emulate someone else. Leslie, do you have yours? We will allow you to show yours.
Let me log into it and it'll take me a minute. So hold on a minute.
No, that's okay. So while you do that, I'll just show it. So here at the top, as you remember, we had the different topics. You'll also have your binder. You also have your content. So remember we said you can save an article by clicking that little bookmark icon. So when you go to your content and save, that's where you'll see whatever articles you bookmarked for future reference. So I didn't save any, so therefore I don't have any here. And right next to that, you'll have your binder. So here you can see the assignments you've done, activity feed, which means what students have been working on. So what's neat is that it also show you what article students are reading independently on their own without you assigning them. It also show you the reading summary and such. So when you click it, it will open up your binder. And since this account doesn't have any actual students, you won't really see much. Okay, Leslie, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so my binder right here, I go to, you could go to activity feed, right? But I usually go to assignments. and assignments. There we go. And what freaks me out a lot is when I see this number over here, 144, 145, right? So this I have as a draft already for an assignment I'm going to assign. I did it before we left, so I had it. But here I have kids that have, I mean, this is amazing for me to have 144 actually have accessed it. But if I go to my second period class and then click on the thing, click on the assignment, and I can see all of my students in this period, some of them have done the writing assignment and some of them have taken the quiz. You can tell by how long they spent on it, what their scores actually showed, and that they didn't read very well. But to answer for grading purposes, I would just go through and mark the quiz score. If I chose to do this, I could also, I believe, I can click on their quiz score and see what they missed.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you reassign? And you can reset the quiz and tell them to take it again.
Correct.
Yes.
So there's that nice thing. But then, let me see, for their grade, you see how it says grade? You can hit their writing portion also, and you can see what they wrote the first time. You can give them a comment and tell them to edit, and then they can revise, and then you can give them a rubric score and record that rubric score. And you can decide if what a 4, 3, 2, 1 looks like. You can decide what you're looking for. But the part that just I know that can be a little deceiving is for secondary, when you see all of my students are going to be all together and they're not. You have to make sure you click by class. How do I unshare is the question.
So go back down.
Okay.
There you go. Stop presenting.
Awesome.
Got it. Thank you, Leslie, for showing that. We appreciate it.
Yes, so happy to have a teacher on board who has active students in the binder. It's difficult from our angle.
Yes.
Donna, to answer your question about where they're writing in their answer for the writing prompt, there'll be a box on the right-hand side in the article that they'll have a space to type in their answer.
So Chrissy, you want to make sure you send your article to Google. I'll show that one more time. Once you click assign in Newsela, it'll take you to your binder where it will look like this. And you want to click the Sharrow. Then click Google Classroom. So that will open up your Google Classroom page. You want to choose your class and choose an action. It's up to you if you want to make it an announcement or an assignment. I like to make it an assignment. And then you click go. Add your title, optional instructions. Make sure you select multiple classes. You want this to go to more than one class. And select your students. If you're differentiating, you can select from there. Then you select the point value, the due date, and the topic, and click assign. So once it's assigned, you will see it appear. It'll be the top announcement on your stream. And in your classwork, it'll be in whatever topic you selected.
And I will say this is the number one thing that teachers forget to do. They assign it in Newsela and then they're like, why isn't it in my Google Classroom? It's just that one extra step because what you did when you assigned it to your class in Newsela, which doesn't mean that when students log into Newsela, I mean, you can put a link. So if you were in our webinar yesterday, you may have seen the how you can add a link to Google Classroom as a material. Mm-hmm. And so if you just add the generic Newsela link in the Google Classroom, then the students can just click on that and they'll go into Newsela and they'll have all the articles that you've assigned. Adding it, using that extra step and adding it directly to Google Classroom will take them right to that particular article. So it just makes it a little easier for access for students.
And for those of you who like to sync Aries with Google Classroom, it also gives you that ability. When you grade it here, you can transfer over whatever grade they got from Newsela here. You can then tell Aries to come grab the grades from Google Classroom, since Aries and Newsela do not sync. Yes, Leslie.
I'm like, hand raise. If you don't link it the way you showed it, sometimes when the students log on to their main screen, there's two little option bars.
Yes.
And sometimes it'll show a main feed, and sometimes it'll say your assignments, and they have to click on their assignments, and then they will show.
Correct.
So by linking it directly, that is more helpful. And that was my like, oh, you can do that. So thank you for that.
So Donna, you want to know how to link your Google Classroom to Aries? Is that correct?
Or you can email us and we'll send you the video.
Yeah, we have a video for that, Donna. Send us a quick email and we'll send that to you when this webinar is over. And if anybody else wants that video, send us an email at digitalcoaches@mylusd. I'll put it in the chat so that this is how the best way to reach both of us. And if you are interested in knowing how to link your Aries to your Aries grade book to your Google Classroom grades, just email us and we'll send out a video.
When you search, the default is always articles, but if you click on text sets, you will see collections, if you will, that Newsela or Newsela certified educators have put together. So they'll tell you how many articles that are included in there and the main topic here. So let's go with middle school health and physical education. So when you click it, it opens up the text set. You can save it or bookmark it so you can access it through your content later. You can share it directly to a colleague if you want. And then you can copy it to then edit it and add your own instructions as well. So we do have a video on that that is available on our online learning notebook that we shared on Monday. A comprehensive video going over all of that. So if you scroll down, you'll see the different articles that are included in this text set. Okay. You can preview them by clicking on them and skimming through them. And if I like it just as it is, I don't need to copy anything. I would just click create assignment. Here again, just like with the article assignment, you can edit the title. We recommend to just leave it as is. In your classes, in your drop-down menu, you can select your class. And just like with the article assignment, you can either leave it at the default, which means Newsela will present each article at the students just right reading level for them, or you can lock it. So again, just to show how to lock it, you would click adjust level, select the reading level you want to lock for students, and then click lock selection. So I mean, students will not be able to change the Lexile level as they would normally. And then again, here you can add instructions. One thing that Kathleen and I like to recommend is to have students choose to read certain articles. As you can see, the articles have different topics or themes. We have War and Peace, kids, sports, health. Your instructions can include something like make sure to read one article from each topic: War and Peace, kids, health, and sports. That way they don't think they have to read them all, because I know that a lot of the time students, if they see 8 articles, are going to say, hold on, I don't want to read all of those, you know, or it might discourage them as well. If there's a specific article you want to remove, you can just hover. You see the little trash can icon, hover over it, and then just click on it, and it will remove that article. So let's say we want to remove that. Click it, and it'll remove it. If I say, oops, did it by accident, just click undo removal and it will add it back. Okay. So once I've added any optional instructions, this is again where you can add specific instructions. If you want them to highlight certain things, you can add those here. When you are ready, you can click assign, and it will assign the entire text set. And if you want to share it via Google Classroom so it doesn't cause that confusion of I don't see my assignment, you would click the arrow and select Google Classroom and follow the steps we've shown. Any questions on text sets? Okay, well, just a quick reminder as well, we do have in our digital learning website, digitallearning.mylusd.org, we do have some text sets that Kathleen and I have created that align with Journeys and StudySync. I don't think we have one for Unit 4 yet. For secondary, but those are a work in progress.
And by the way, if you create a text set, it can become available for everybody in your sets at your school. So if someone else at your school creates a text set, you have access to it. So it's a great way to share across your departments.
So I believe this account we have is set to Linwood Middle School. So we can see that a few folks have created text sets and we have access to those because we're set at the same school. Any final burning questions on Newsela?
If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, because we're here for you now. Here's a question. After I have assigned a Newsela article to all my classes, can I go back and modify the writing prompt?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You can modify the assignment after it's been, you can modify the writing prompt after it's been assigned. Yes. Great question, Maria.
Yeah, I didn't show how to annotate in case they wanted to show their students.
So if you want to stick around to learn how to use annotations, stick around. Sandra's going to show you how. So just about Sandra's getting herself set up. An annotation, you can highlight certain text in the article and put a prompt right into the article. Okay, so Sandra will guide you through that.
Please note that if you do that, you need to lock the level. Because when you as the teacher annotate on an article, as you can see right now, I'm currently on 820. So it's only going to annotate here in 820. It will not annotate on the other Lexile levels. So if you as a teacher want to add an annotation and share it with your students, when you click that assign, make sure you lock it at the level that you annotated on. Otherwise, students will not see your annotations. So to annotate, you just want to highlight the text. Then you'll get the little annotation tool that pops up. So remember earlier I said that Newsela gives you 4 different colors to annotate. So you can select your color here, and then you can write something to your students. So students, when they see this, it's letting you know that when your students access this article, they will see this highlighted text here with this little note as an annotation. You can scroll down and add more, and your students would add annotations the same way. So if you want them to highlight any interesting information, you know, they can just highlight. And if you said highlight interesting information in purple, they can just highlight it in purple, and it is optional for them to add any notes. I used to always tell my students as well, we go over subheadings and headings, and I would tell them to add a gist at the end of a section. So at the end of this section, one of their instructions was at the end, highlight the last word and add a gist statement of that section, just to practice summarizing in their own words.
And just know that students have access to the annotation tools as well. So if you don't annotate yourself, you can include that in your instructions saying, you know, students, please identify, I think Sandra mentioned earlier, you know, highlight the words you're unfamiliar with in red, you know, identify the main idea in yellow. So you can ask students to do that, and they can just use these tools regardless of what level they're at. So if you do the annotations, as Sandra mentioned, you want to lock your Lexile level so they stay, unless you want to annotate every single level in that article. And remember, there's 5. Or just ask the students to do it as well. Because as they develop those skills, then, you know, this is something they can utilize for any close reading of any assignment that you give them, because it's a great skill for them to have as they head into high school and college as well.